Hello and welcome back to my channel. We are here sketching or figuring out what to sketch when there's like nothing to sketch, and I'm just here to prove you wrong. No, I'm kidding. I'm not that combative. What I want to prove today is that when you think there's nothing to sketch, there can be a lot to sketch. And I hope I'm not jinxing myself here by saying that. But I hope I'm just indicating that, it is possible to sketch something even when you think that there's nothing around. So where I am currently is I am at the side of a mall, as one does find themselves, and I'm just here killing time painting, as one does. It's nothing out of the ordinary, or at least nothing out of the ordinary on this channel. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take a quick look at our surroundings and see if there's anything interesting to sketch. Shall we take a look? Okay, this is not going to take too long because first, I'm a bit lazy and I don't want to step too far up from this space, especially when I have a camera on a tripod that I'm just not willing to carry around everywhere. And two, I also want to prove that you don't need to walk around for so long to find something to sketch. So let's give it a shot. All right, this is number one, is that we see that there are these two cars, and although they're great, cars also have a tendency to move. So maybe we'll try and make it easy on ourselves and not pick something that can move. Although if we do a little bit of sleuthing, for example, we can see that this one has a driver in it and this one does not. So that's also one way to indicate, but let's just make it easier for ourselves and not do cars at all. Number two, we can look at where I was sitting, which is right here, but all I see are like no smoking signs, and I'm honestly not too interested in sketching them. I mean, I could always like find a cigarette and make a statement, like do a smoking sign in front of that, but I'm just not interested in that today. We're looking for something simple and easy. Another option is to look up, but this is quite honestly not my favorite angle to sketch. Sorry, this is just me poking in with this horrible angle. So we are not doing that today, even though the view is pretty cool. Probably the easiest way is to just look down. And I know that this may seem like it's some sort of simplified, scene. But I don't know, something about the rocks against the roots, it's just, for me, it just shows that it's like really Hong Kong, because this kind of contrast only really exists in the cities. So I might do this for a change. Well, not really for a change, but I just might do a close-up on this. It is possible. Lastly, number 5 is creeping on people. So we can always do that, but from where I'm sitting, which is like to my right, it's a little bit too far off. Sorry, seating right over here. It's a little bit too far off. Seating right over here. It's a little bit too far off to creep on people. So we're just gonna skip that for today. Another option, expanding and like sketching this whole complex scene, but it's a little bit too big for what I want to do today, and I just want to keep it simple and easy. So I think I'm just gonna go for this little guy, which is the roots against the stones, and that might be what we're sketching today. Actually, no, that is what we're sketching today. We are not spending too much time on decisions. We are spending time sketching. So starting off with the sketch, I wanted to first put in the pencil lines mainly for the first branches right there. And the reason for that is because I kind of want that to be the main focus, and I wanted to make sure to actually allocate a huge space for the root area, or where the roots kind of meet the ground. And the reason for that being is that our brains tend to kind of get the proportions out of whack a little bit, and we tend to prioritize the trunk, or at least in my case, I tend to prioritize the trunk and then not leave enough space for the roots, but I want the roots to be the focal point. So I realized that I actually can't really include that much of the trunk to begin with. So we kind of focus on the root and notice that it does take pretty much like half the page, if not the whole page. And yeah, and then I wanted to make sure like when I was putting the washes down, I suddenly like remembered that this is watercolor and not gouache, and therefore my lightest and most vibrant color should come first. So even though I first kind of started off with like a muted wash, some way halfway through I like switched gears and I just switched to vibrant colors because I can always tone it down later, but I just want vibrant first. So I put that like cat yellow or like yellow lemon, like my warm yellow. I put my warm yellow down, I put my cerulean blue down to represent the sky, and I put some vibrant reds, some vibrant blues, and I just wanted those colors to kind of intermingle first before later I come in with a darker color to carve out the shadows. So the colors, the yellow is like very jarringly bright, but I was telling myself like, you know what, it's okay, calm down, we're gonna be able to sort this out a little bit later. So that's what I'm focusing on. As I was trying to draw in the tiles, I realized that I could make use of the damp paper and kind of put some lost edges and see that maybe the edges won't be so sharp and maybe it'll like bleed a little bit to the side. Is that a taxi that was speeding? I'm not sure. Anyways, yeah, I just wanted to see if I could maybe soften some edges, have it a little bit like bleed to the sides, have the edges kind of like feather a little bit into the background, because that's always like really, really helpful when you're trying to not draw focus to it. It's just to have like really, really soft edges. And then another thing that I wanted to do really quickly on the go is some dry brushing. And this is kind of interesting because I usually do this with gouache and not so much with watercolor. But I realized, right, if I get the belly of the brush, hang on. So the belly of the brush would be this part in the middle. This is the belly of the brush. Can you focus? This part is the belly of the brush, like this thick little part. But yeah, anyway, so I realized like if I just dry that brush against like my tissue paper like so and get the moisture wicked out by like having it contact, I realized that it means I can get a lot of moisture out of the brush and therefore I can get some dry brush effect. After proceeding with that, I just spent my sweet time noodling in all the details, trying to capture in some of the vines and some intricacy and trying to get some two planes as well. So for example, if there's a light on one part, I try to add in a shadow on the lower part. And I tried to do this with a lot of the branches and try to make sure that everything is consistent. The light is coming from that side. So anything that's facing me, so anything that's here facing here is going to be in shadow. Why don't I just bring you over to take a look? Here was a dark part. So I tried to make sure that this part is like really dark. And then this part is bright. And I made a mistake of not kind of like putting that in the beginning, so I did add it with a little bit of gouache at the end to get like some of that white highlight. And then like this part, as you can see, this is the one facing us, and this is kind of like one of the darkest parts, so we do focus on that, and especially down in the root area. So in this area right here, this is going to be like the darkest part, and the reason for that is because it's kind of in like the occlusion part where not a lot of light can come in, and that's pretty much how I try to treat the lights and shadows a little bit differently. Like this is a little bit different for me. I don't usually play around with vibrant colors, but it was fun. I just thought that it was fun to be able to play with colors this way, and maybe I'll incorporate more vibrant colors into it. Not gonna lie, I am inspired by Max Romy. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Max sir. I'm sorry if I'm not. But he uses a lot of really bright and vibrant colors, and it always makes his sketches look so enticing. And I'd love to splash a little bit of vibrancy around here. Like look at this muted greens, and I know that nature has a lot of muted greens, but we're artists, right? Like we can inject our own take on things. So if I want vibrant colors, why not? I do that a lot with my photos anyway, where I like increase the saturation, and I kind of love my photos. I guess that's just part of my artistic style. So now we are at the finishing touches, and I think we're good to go with the sketch. now that the sketch is all wrapped up, I hope I have proved my point, that there is always something to sketch, even though it seems like there's nothing to sketch around us. Although I realize it's kind of silly, like maybe if you guys are visiting Hong Kong for the first time, you would find all of this like really interesting, but this is literally in the ground floor next to my office. I do not intend to be here more than I need to be, or so usually I just whiz past through and I don't really like spend some time. But it's actually nice to kind of like look around and enjoy the park a little bit. Well, as park-ish as this is. Well, it's literally a park where cars park. Is that why it's called a park? All right, I'm just getting out of control here. I'm gonna stop myself right here before I go off the rails. Thank you so much again, guys, for dropping by. I hope to catch you in the next one. And I'm hoping maybe my next video will be at the airport before I take off for my trip. And I hope you stay tuned, because I am so excited to sketch in a different environment that is not Hong Kong. And I'm really excited to kind of incorporate sketching as a part of my travels. All right, catch you in the next one, guys. And let me know if the looking up around side trick works for you, because I would love to find out. Bye.